Previously on Midlifing.
Well, it's not sharing. It's actually, I think it might be the worst possible thing. Because did you ever have, it might be the worst possible thing given what you've just said. Did you ever do subjects at high school where you'd be in the class and the teacher would come in and say, okay, we've got a test today, meaning that you didn't know you were going to have a test?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got one of those for you.
Great, okay. Crack on.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
Question 11. What celebrity would you want to party with?
Bjork.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
You specifically said who would I want to party with. I think Bjork would be a lot of fun.
yeah, good, very, very nice answer. Question 12. What are you most proud of in your life?
Haven't I answered what am I most proud of?
Oh, maybe did I already answer? Did I already ask that?
Yeah.
Oh, you said Bob.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Which I'm not sure I should have a proprietorial sense of pride over Bob.
Wait.
But I think, I'm proud of the relationship I have with her.
Okay.
And,
Sorry about
and
that.
that she hangs around. No, I'm always happy to say Bob twice.
Okay. So, food most difficult to give up.
Bread. Impossible to give up.
Yeah.
I
All
could
right.
give up just about everything else.
Would you prefer 10 million pounds, evil laugh, or someone to point out all your faults?
10 million pounds? What's wrong with you? I don't give a shit about self-improvement. I want to buy sweets. I also, I don't know. I think the 10 million pounds I could do good with. I'm not sure any good would come from having somebody point out my faults.
Wow.
Because the question is, for me, is there an infrastructure around that fault finding that would then support me to develop and become better? Or am I just left with a sense of how reduced I am?
Oh, that is intriguing.
Hence the 10 mil, please. Thank you very much.
Because I read that question more like, because clearly the money's an absurd quantity of money. Like, it's not like I said £100,000, which is sort of equally absurd, but it's not £10 million, right? £100,000 or someone telling you your faults. There's something about the apparent discrepancy in it that makes me stop. Wait, hang on. How could knowing all my faults be anything like worth that kind of money? It's just, I don't know the answer, but that's just what makes me sort of stop with it. Like, is it possible to imagine the kinds of contributions that you could make if you knew?
No, there'd need to be infrastructure to support me. Otherwise, all that is happening is I am being brought incredibly low and then suddenly it's kind of like it's a Pandora's box situation. Only I suspect I wouldn't find hope at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's just suddenly everything that's wrong with me is out, and all the things that I've managed to successfully ignore about myself or try and work on quietly is brought front and center.
Okay.
I can't. I don't think I could. I'm not built to be able to do anything with that. Whereas I could save a lot of puppies with £10 million.
Yeah, lots of puppies. Question 15. Well, I don't know what the numbers are now because I think I cocked up the proud of question. Would you rather live on the moon or on a starship orbiting the Earth?
Oh. Gosh. Am I able to breathe freely on the moon? Or do I have to live inside a sort of space station?
Well, yeah, you'd need, and if you go outside, you'd need some kind of breathing apparatus. Yeah,
okay. In that case, space station.
Okay.
ship thing orbiting the moon.
Starship orbiting the
Yeah,
Earth.
Starship orbiting the Earth. Yeah, that's much more exciting.
Great. Okay. Good. I'm
Because I
glad
can
that's...
fly on that. Yeah,
What'd you say?
I could be able to fly around on that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Whereas, hang about. You said Starship. So
I
I'm just
said
checking
Starship. I did see Starship. But of course, that means something to you in a way that probably doesn't to me.
Because if you say, like, a spacecraft, then I'm thinking about things that exist in reality. If you say Starship, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's more like
what?
exactly. That's more like
So
Star
if
Trek land, isn't it?
Exactly. If you were asking me, would I like to be on the Mir space station or the moon, then the moon.
Yeah,
But if you're asking me, would I like to be on a fictional type spaceship,
basically like a cruiser with swimming pools, space swimming pools.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, cool. And then with a great view.
Question 16. Question 16. Home menu on your phone.
Ooh.
Meaning what the 4 or 3 apps that you have at the very bottom of the...
Oh, gosh. I have to look.
Yeah.
I have got at the bottom of my screen, I've got the telephone.
Really?
I've got yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I don't know why, because I very rarely use it. I've got the telephone.
Waste of space, man.
It is. I've got the internet.
You've got like the browser, you mean?
Yes.
Is it Safari or is it Chrome? Or...
It's DuckDuckGo.
Oh, you use the DuckDuckGo browser.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
I've got Bear, my note-taking app.
You use Bear. You are such a note-taking. I'm not going to say that.
I love Bear. It's one of the best. And my messages app.
Right. So you could swap out the phone and put something else there, couldn't you?
I could, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to because what would I put there is the thing that would worry me.
Oh, I see. You don't want to create that kind of worry in your life, do you?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh God, is it going to be The Guardian? Is it going to be Flipboard? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so just
do I then have to
status quo? Just status quo the fuck out of that.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've got to go and look and see what my screen time usage and my data usage is on particular apps. Work out which I use the most heavily, and then it's basically.
And what would it be?
I'm not being given my £10 million. I'm being pointed out my flaws
based on what's on your home, what apps you use by the.
Yeah. Oh look, he's got Instagram as the first button he goes to. How empty-headed.
Question 17. Favorite podcast?
Gaylords of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Gaylords of Darkness, which I have spoken to you about, but I've always cut it out of the podcast.
Have you really?
itself. I don't think
always
I've
been cut
ever
out.
referenced it. It's always been cut out because it hasn't really made sense. So, Gaylords of Darkness is a queer
I'm
feminist
sure it's
horror
been in the podcast, but I don't mind you. Oh, okay, it's just because of course
But if it has, I'll tell you again. Gaylords of Darkness, queer feminist horror podcast, introduced by Stacey Ponder, the writer for Final Girl, and Anthony Hudson, the programmer for Queer Horror, and together. They.
But they no longer talk about it. Hasn't it changed? It's like it's just basically film criticism now.
It has always been film criticism. That's what it was supposed to be. What it is now is they basically talk about K-pop and
that's right.
egg recipes. It's gone. If there was a shark to be jumped, they jumped it a very long time ago. But
right, which is something to look up to, isn't it? Or look forward to. Look up to and forward to. Yes.
It's really good. And I think one of the things that I've been particularly impressed about, they put their literal, metaphorical money where their mouth is. So during 2020, when the Black Lives Matter movement was kind of very present, they wanted to do something about it. So they did something called the 3-inning, where they watched a series of third sequels, so like things like Halloween 3 or anything that with a 3 in the title.
Yeah.
And they watched one every single day, and they did an hour episode every day for a week about and you know how long it takes us to have a conversation, and then you've got to edit it, and then so it was an awful lot of work. And then they got sponsored. They opened a GoFundMe, and they've raised like $20,000 at this point for, I think the first one was Black Lives Matter. The second one was for against Asian hate, because there've been a couple of Asian hate crimes, and then the most recent one was for trans well-being on the back of the swinging attacks on trans rights in some of the southern states of the United States of America, which is where they're based.
Right. I can't believe you didn't say midlifing.
I didn't. And I won't be.
Question 18. Personal or corporate responsibility?
Oh. Fucking hell, Simon. That's worse than croissant or pain au chocolat. I guess I'm going to say personal responsibility, because if we were to take personal responsibility, then corporate responsibility would follow, because corporations are run by people.
You're a capitalist. You believe in the.
Well, I don't know if that's capitalism or if it's a sense of belief in humanity.
Yes, I guess it's one way of saying. I mean, I was thinking about as the consumer. It's like consumer power, but
oh yeah, that's not how I always understand.
No, yeah, get you. That's why I went to what I
Yeah, because I wasn't thinking about me using my wallet to be able to leverage change, because I don't believe that for a second.
Okay.
So I think in where we are right now, I would like there to be much more accountability for businesses. So I would choose the second one, where we are right now.
Personal responsibility.
Corporate responsibility I would choose for where we are right now in history, because there isn't any.
Oh, hang on.
Perhaps I'm misunderstanding the question.
The question is basically, do we focus on personal responsibility for making change, or should basically regulate corporations to make changes?
We should regulate corporations until the pips squeak to make change. We absolutely should.
Okay.
However, if we had a utopia where people took responsibility for their own actions, we wouldn't need to regulate corporations, because corporations would be made up of people and people would be making the right choices.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I get you.
Yeah, I was answering from a place of hope and utopia, but corporate responsibility is what I think we need. We need corporate governance. We need Amazon to pay tax.
Yeah.
We need, we just need, we need simple things like that, where corporations can't buy the governments of the countries in which they are located.
I was reading something the other day. It might have been the Seth Godin book. I can't remember. I read too much sometimes, but which was saying that in some cities in the United States, Amazon has run out of people to employ. Meaning it's basically employed everyone and got rid of everyone because they churn through employees, right? And that there's no one else in those communities for them to employ.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't. Question 19. What is the most mortifying mistake you have made? And I'm going to say at work, but it could be that you go, I'm going to drop the at work. I'll leave that to you.
I can't answer this question, because they are legion. And I think I have disassociated from my errors to the point that they're no longer mine. I can't remember them. I have, there have been things I just in this moment genuinely can't think of one, but there have been things that have made me almost vomit.
Yeah,
with
the
shame.
more. Yeah, right. Okay. So
I can't remember one.
Yeah.
They exist, as I say. They are legion, but
what is they are legion? What does that mean? There's lots of them.
Oh, it's from the Bible. So it's when Jesus comes across the possessed man, and he says, and the possessed person says, "I am legion, for we are many."
This sounds like it's been used in a zombie film.
A horror film.
It's been used in a horror film?
Not a zombie film. It's been used in a possession film.
Right.
I think it was probably in Exorcist 3. Just one of the best threequels ever. If you haven't seen it, you should. Although you won't be able to watch it because you'll shit your pants. Because it's terrifying.
Okay. It's good to know that I'd forgotten that there was a third Exorcist. I'm still dealing with the first one, frankly.
I think the third one, I'm controversial, I'm going to say it. I think the third one is scarier than the first one.
Oh, very controversial. You might have to cut that out, just lest we just have to deal with all
the only person who's... it's going to be Mark Commode who gets his tits in a twist, and I really don't care what he thinks.
Who?
Mark Commode. He is a BBC film reviewer, and he did his PhD on The Exorcist.
Really? When... So this question's about your relationship. So we're getting there, by the way. We're getting there. In terms of coming towards the end of this. How you find... Oh, no, let's just push on.
Okay.
Question 20. This is about your relationship to the law. When have you ever broken the law?
Yesterday?
Speeding.
No, I try not to speed because you get tickets for that. And I got one not long ago. Probably watching things on the television. Put locker. That's naughty. I know it's naughty.
So just in case you didn't hear that, he said the word put locker. And if you don't know what put locker is, just look it up.
I wanted to watch Queen of the Universe.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Which is a drag queen singing show. The things that I will get locked up for are really like, is this the hill you wanted to die on? I think it was.
So I think you've already answered this question from answering another question, but most useful piece of software?
Bear.
Yeah. 3, okay, very much, oh no, hang on, I need to, regrets?
I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
And nothing that you would share?
That was a song.
What did you say?
That was a song. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
Sorry, I didn't. I'm not quite up with the of what's his face?
Of Frank
Blue
Sinatra.
Eyes. Oh, Blue Eyes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
Very clever. Very clever. Just answer the fucking question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I actually try not to have regrets. I try not to regret. I think the regrets I have are the things that I haven't done rather than the things that I have done. I don't regret anything that I've done. I feel guilty about things that I've done. I feel ashamed of things that I've done. I feel sick about things that I've done, but I've also learnt as a result of those things.
Beautiful, beautiful.
My regrets are about the things that I haven't done. And even then, the things that I regret most, I don't think I could have done at the time that I wanted, that would have been expedient or useful. And so I realised that they weren't done not because I just wasn't able or capable or aware that that was a possibility. And so ultimately, it's not really a regret. It's like I guess in a different world where I'd understood the world differently at an earlier point. So they're kind of the regrets feel quite intellectual in that sense, rather than emotional.
So there's no weight from them.
No, it's kind of like, oh, okay, if I'd been this kind of a person, or if I'd had access to that kind of a thing, I might have tried to do that sooner, or I might.
Yes, but you could say that there's a way of kind of intellectualizing them, or justifying them. I mean, I definitely could do that with all the things that I feel like I do regret, but my overall sense that is that I feel them as regret, that I wish they hadn't happened, even though I've learned an enormous amount from them, and I think I'm changed by them, changed for the better by them.
Yeah, but I don't want to change any of the things that I regret having done, and the things that I haven't done, I realise that my regret is coming from a body 30 years after.
Yeah,
and it didn't occur to me that it was possible or an option at the time. Therefore, it's not really a regret, is it?
You wish you'd started drinking wine 20 years earlier.
I'm actually really happy at the point at which I started drinking wine. I don't regret that. I don't regret being being teetotal for the entirety of my adult life up until the age of 40. No problem with that at all. I don't regret any of those choices. Yeah.
There are two more questions, Lee Miller.
Ooh, good.
Question 23. If you were the Prime Minister, let's say the Prime Minister of Great Britain, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, what would be the first thing you'd change, let's say, in the world? When I say in the world, but of course it would be about what's possible for you to change in the context of this country.
I'd introduce proportional representation as a voting strategy in the UK.
Bang!
Straight away. That would be my first act.
Do you think it would get past the House of Lords, such a thing?
Maybe my first would be to abolish the House of Lords. Then I would introduce... I mean, they're on my list. They're on my list of top 10 things to do.
So big structural changes.
Yeah. But I would probably open up the House of Lords as a let's have it as a daycare space for kids. That would be nice.
There's a Nigerian philosopher whose name is Bayo Akomolafe, and I really like his writing, but he talks about this our preoccupation, our meaning Western civilization, Western culture, Western whatever it is, preoccupation with representation, and he uses the analogy he uses that there was have I told you that there was excellent representation on slave ships. You had black people, you had white people. He said our focus on representation means we forget that the problem is the slave ship, not the people who are on the slave ship. And so in a way, you're saying, let's deal with the slave ship.
Okay, yeah. I hadn't thought of it in quite that way, but I would want to get rid of the House of Lords because I don't believe in non-elected governance.
Does that mean you get rid of the king as well?
Yeah, I would, but I don't know that that would be within my gift.
Yes, true.
As an elected official, I think what I would do is I would put it to a referendum
about the king or the House of Lords.
House of Lords. I think can just be removed because it's an unelected body.
You can't. Do you think it can? Do you think it means it's? You're basically saying it's it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, I mean morally, it should be removed. Yeah. And I would feel less. I think I'd be the Jimmy Carter of the UK. I'd maybe.
So you'd be a one-term prime minister.
I'd be a one-term prime minister, and I think possibly because I have no interest in power and I have no interest in governing, and so I think I'd be able
make
to
the most of it.
Make the most of it. Yeah. I'd want to talk to people about how to save the NHS.
Sorry, can I just say I love that this is so clear, this question. I think if it were asked of me, I'd be going, but I really love that you've just gone boom, boom, boom. Also, that I asked for one thing, but you've already got a list there.
I think because these are things, there's structural inequality that worries me so much. One of them is that 36% of people in the Totnes area vote Conservative, and yet we have a Conservative MP, and we will continue to have a Conservative MP because of the first past the post system.
36% vote.
36%
vote, not Conservative. Oh, I see. They vote Conservative. You're right. So they're a minority. They're a minority governing party.
Exactly. They get a minority of the vote. They get 36. They got 36% of the vote in the last. But because of the way first past the post and representation works here in the UK, it's those votes are counted differently. And my favourite thing is that the current Tory MP in Totnes was in a conversation about proportional representation, and he said, "You can't introduce that; it's undemocratic." It's like, I think you might not understand democracy. Just going to say, when you think that 36% of the voters get their way, when 64% don't. No, that's the maths doesn't work,
and that's of people who vote, of course, which is a whole other
exactly.
problem.
That's before we exactly. Yeah.
Do you? So, the proportional thing. I think that's also because he or she will be just using. They will be just using the idea that people, by and large, might not understand what proportional representation means, and so to call it undemocratic basically puts them in the same. People start to to think or connect undemocratic with proportional, which is very odd.
It is. It's very, very odd. But yeah, that feels a way to begin to untangle some of the structural inequality in the UK. NHS, there are some very, very hard choices that would have to be made there. The NHS is there to make sure that people can survive.
Yeah.
Carrying on.
So, on that note, last question.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I'm going to just say a number, which is the three most, but it might be the most, it might be two that what come to mind. Most important songs of your life.
Nevermind by Nirvana. That's an album, but still. The whole album.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Such a 90s kid.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, maybe OK Computer by Radiohead.
Wow, another album. Okay.
I don't think I could pick, I'm not sure I could pick a single song. I'm just going to have to go with those two albums. Suzanne Vega from 1984.
Wow. Is that the one with My Name is Luca?
Yeah, no, that's Suzanne Vega Solitude Standing. I would go with her eponymous debut album.
Right, what's the main song from that one?
Marlena on the Wall.
Ah, Marlena on the Wall.
Even if I am
what a
in love
beautiful
with you,
song.
What is to say? What's it to you? Observe the blood, the rose tattoo, and the fingerprints on me from you. Other evidence has shown that you and I are still alone. We skirt around the danger zone and don't talk about it later. And I try so hard to resist when you held me in your handsome fist and reminded me of the night we kissed and of why I should be leaving. Marlena watches from the wall. I fucking love that song. Maybe it's Marlena on the Wall.
Oh,
wow.
The whole purpose of this of this episode, of course, this exam was to basically deny us the capacity to talk about anything ever again, because hopefully I've just covered everything.
So is this our last episode?
Yeah, I know, it's just a way of kind of trying to keep you quiet for the next few episodes.
So is it just going to be you monologuing?
Well, that's what I'm hoping. That's what everyone's hoping. Lee Miller, come on, you know the stats.